So I recently took a last minute adult only cruise, and aside from this cruise being last minute, it would also be my very first time sailing with somebody other than my girlfriend and me sailing by myself. Except for the one time last year when I took my mom to Alaska. That was a great time. There are also two really big issues that I want to point out about this cruise. One of them is a show that they decided to get rid of that I think really kind of set the tone for the idea of an adult-only cruise line. The other is a game-changing function that is done with Virgin Voyages ships that isn't exactly working out as planned. I'll talk about this later on in the video. The cruise line that I will be sailing with will be none other than the only adult cruise line operating within the United States currently, Virgin Voyages. The company was originally launched back in 2014. They currently have two ships within their entire fleet, which are the Scarlet Lady and Valiant Lady, with two more along the way. What's also another interesting fact about Virgin Voyages is that Virgin technically does not own the cruise ships or the company. There's actually an investment firm known as Bain Capital. They own all the ships and are the main stakeholder when it comes to Virgin Voyages. The name, as well as the face of Virgin Voyages, Richard Branson, is more so for branding purposes only. The vessel that I'd be sailing on for this cruise will be the Scarlet Lady. This ship was built in 2019, launched in 2020, and unfortunately had the pandemic, so there was, well, quite a few delays. However, it was able to make it and finally have its first mermaiden voyage in 2021. It has 17 decks, holds just shy of 2,800 passengers, and also has the smallest pool at sea. I will be taking a 5-day cruise to the Caribbean out of the largest cruise port in the entire world, Port Miami, and the cost of this cruise will come out to just shy of $3,000 for a sea terrace balcony cabin. However, here's the catch. I would only pay about $1,450 because I had a good friend of mine, Jojo, reach out to me out of nowhere. I hadn't talked to this guy in, well, just under a year. He asked if I wanted to go on a cruise, and I never had an opportunity where I'd be able to actually split the cost of my cruises because, believe it or not, every now and then I may have sponsors, but I want to say for about 70% of my cruises, I pay full price every single time, and typically it is just me, or I also pay for my girlfriend. So it was nice to be able to go on a cruise where I actually could split the cost. Now, like any cruise, the real fun began on the first day or embarkation day. And for JoJo, well, it was his first cruise. It was my 5th time sailing on board the Scarlet Lady, so I already knew what to expect. Him, on the other hand, not so much. I hate to put it out there like this, and I'm sorry, JoJo, but ladies and gentlemen, JoJo is a Disney adult, meaning Virgin Voyages was going to be somewhat polarizing to him, and honestly, I could not wait to get on board for him to see it all. So upon arrival to the port over in Port Miami, Terminal V, as usual, it was a well-oiled machine. Everything went smooth as butter. He got his bracelet, I got my bracelet, I broke his bracelet. By the way, the bracelet is what we would use to access our room and pay for all of our incidentals on board, but once we got on board, JoJo was absolutely shocked and amazed as we had only been on Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas and the Carnival Mardi Gras together just a couple years back. The first thing we did once we got on board was check into the room. That way we can get everything acclimated and JoJo could see all the technological advances and all the pretty stuff that came with the sea terrace. And he immediately fell in love as soon as he walked in. After a very quick muster drill and a really cool safety video, I gave JoJo the grand tour of the Scarlet Lady. Like I said, it was my 5th time on board, and I had done videos, countless videos of a full cruise ship tour, so needless to say, I honestly just kind of knew my way around. I showed him all the pretty stuff, all the Instagrammable areas, the galley, which is the buffet area. It's supposed to replace what would be a normal buffet area on a typical cruise ship. However, here is one of the gripes that I do have about that particular area. Like I said, it's supposed to replace the buffet. However, I have heard from multiple sources, me formerly working for Virgin as well as being on both of their ships already, they are currently understaffed to some degree. And the way it works over at the galley is that you do have to kind of raise this little flag thing that doesn't really stay up very well in order for somebody to come over to serve you. The problem is, since they're so short-staffed, a lot of the people that are working there can't really get over to you, and when they don't, you kind of just sitting there twiddling your thumbs, and it could take you a while to really get some assistance in order to order your food. The only saving grace here is that once you get kind of acclimated to how the galley operates, there are some parts over in those areas as far as the restaurants and eateries over there that you can just walk up and actually take the food, like the sushi. There is some snacks over there in that area too. So it does kind of fix itself. However, I do believe that's one thing that's needing adjustment on board Virgin Voyages ships. It also does help that Virgin does have many eateries, and all of which are free or included in your booking on board. So Jojo and I, we did go to one of my favorite restaurants, the Pink Agave. It's a Mexican spot. There's this corn thing that I always get over there, absolutely amazing. But of course, prior to that, we did have to have the sail away party. We did our toasting for the cruise, and Jojo and I got down. We're both dancer-like people, so we had a great time. The experience of cruising with Jojo was definitely different than when I sail alone, or even when I sail with my girlfriend Lauren. It's different from me sailing alone because, well, if I'm by myself, I always meet people because I'm a very social person. Maybe I talk a little too much. I have the gift of gab. I got it from my dad, and I'm not ashamed of it whatsoever. But when you're actually with somebody that you're going to be with for the entirety of the cruise, it does create kind of like a different vibe, especially since him and I are both very energetic, loving, fun people that also dance too. It creates a mix-up that I think is actually pretty cool. However, I would say, and Jojo, I apologize for this, when it came to us sleeping in the room together, I did cause a little bit of a disturbance. You see, I like to wake up a lot of the times. If I'm not like drinking and partying, I'll be up at around 4 or 5 a.m. Actually, it's about 3:30 in the morning right now. I gotta adjust that clock too. My point is that I am somewhat of an early bird, and the problem is not that I get up early, it's that I tend to set a lot of alarms. I'm one of those people, I apologize, right? I set up like 5 alarms, and well, I had a bad mix-up one night. Him and I went out, we were partying and gyrating and shaking a tail feather, and I planned on waking up that morning, so I had like 20 alarms set. I had just got a new phone too, so everything was already put on like the highest volume and all that. I hadn't made any adjustments on it. So at about 4 in the morning, the phone starts going off, and Jojo got pissed. And understandably so, I get it. Jojo, I apologize. But I want to say, other than that, sharing the room with him was still a somewhat pleasant experience, even though he wanted to suffocate me with his pillow. The vibe on board was upbeat as usual. It's Virgin Voyages. It was also on the downside of spring break. So you did see a lot of people out there with a lot of energy. I recall especially remembering some moms. They were all from like Eastern Europe, and they migrated over to the United States, and I think they said it was their first time getting away from their husbands since they were like 20 years old. And they were like, I think mid to late 20s or something like that. And they coined the term the whole cruise, Mom's Gone Wild. It blew me away, but I wasn't surprised. It was Virgin. I looked at one of their Instagrams, right? And I kid you not, if there was ever like a poster person for like suburban mom, I'm talking about like the most wholesome Instagram profile you could ever see, it was this woman. And the things I saw on board that ship, I gotta tell you, well, you wouldn't have expected it. The shows on board and entertainment were great as usual, with the exception of, like I always say, there's some shows there that are a little bit of like, they're kind of wonky. They got some kinks to work out. The band by On the Rocks, they were playing like some hip hop, like breakdance beats, and obviously me being a break dancer, I was in the zone. I was there almost the whole cruise before I was going into the nightclub. Of course, they did have the show, Untitled Dance Show Party thing. Now, I wish I had got it on camera. I don't know if maybe there was this guy that didn't like my review or something like that, because I've always said that Virgin has, without a doubt, some of the most talented dancers. So for me saying that I don't really care much for like one of those shows on board is not a knock at the entertainment. However, right before the show, one of the entertainers comes right to my face and gives me the middle finger and walks away. And all I could do was laugh. I'll be honest with you, at that time I was kind of drunk, and I'm kind of used to like some criticism here and there every now and then. I don't really care much for it. Part of me wanted to trip him, but I couldn't be that guy for this cruise. I just said, you know what, I'll let it ride. Maybe he's having a bad day. It is what it is. But this was also the unveiling of the ship show for the first time on board the Scarlet Lady, because typically they have it on the other ship, the Valiant Lady. Absolutely amazing. Chef's kiss. It was a great show. Okay, now here's the thing that really grind my gears. This legitimately bothered me. So on board the Scarlet Lady, and typically they had it on all of the Virgin ships and were set to put it on the rest of them, they have a sex show called Never Sleep Alone, aka NSA. And the show is it's out there. It's raunchy. They have games, and well, it's to me I want to say like the symbol of what it is to have an adult only cruise line. However, lo and behold, they have gotten rid of it. Why? Because allegedly, this is what I've heard, some guests, or I guess a portion of guests were complaining, saying the show was too much. However, the show is free for the consumer. So you're telling me that people, and I kind of relate this to my YouTube video, people choose to go watch the show. They choose to watch the YouTube video. They get mad over a free video out of any option. They could have done anything else. However, they decide to go to guest services or the comment section on YouTube and complain. I don't get it. I really hope that Virgin brings that show back because to me, I believe it was a very staple type of show that should have been there and should have stayed there on board Virgin Voyages ships. However, I do understand also that show was not owned by Virgin Voyages. It was like a third party contractor, so it did cost them a bit of money to keep the show there. So maybe that could also be part of the reason. When it came to the food, it was good as per usual. The sushi always smacks. I wish they had more sushi options, but other than that, Wake was good. Pink Agave was good. I wanted to go there a couple times when I was on board. But food was always good. I have nothing to say bad about Virgin Voyages food. It's always on point. Overwhelmingly, I do want to say that JoJo and I had an absolutely amazing time. Virgin Voyages, I always say right now, is in a close second place between Carnival Cruise Line. However, they are quickly working their way up to the top. Why? Because, well, there's no kids on board. I would say if I were to take like my son or maybe a family member like my nieces and my nephews, that'd be a justified reason to go back. But man, it's very, very difficult. I like the aspect of being able to just kind of be free and everybody just kind of bringing out the kids in them. And the vibe alone is great. And I would say that's the thing about Virgin Voyages because I am going to make a comparison video too, maybe not between like Carnival, but maybe between like the other premium lines like Celebrity Cruises versus Virgin Voyages because unlike every other line, Virgin, it can be pricey at times, but the thing is you are paying for the experience overall, and that's why a lot of people already have found this love, this obsession with Virgin Voyages. The ship is beautiful. It does need some work and kinks. Maybe in their next installment of ships, if they come out with them within the next 10 years, they're going to change some things around, but the experience overall on Virgin Voyages is unmatched. There is nothing like it. Can you guys tell I woke up not too long ago? I apologize, I'm slurring the words. However, I'm just trying to make like a general overview because I have done reviews on Virgin ships plenty of times. I have another one of Valiant Lady right up here if you guys want to check it out. I did recently right after this cruise, and well, I have more cruises because I'll be going to the new ship, Resilient Lady, over in Greece. I'll be on that one for 2 weeks. So I just want to make this video relatively quick. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns about Virgin Voyages, of course, you can always put it in the comment section below. But that's all I got for the review. If you guys, like I said, want to check out the other one, it's right up here, and I'll put it in the description box below. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for watching this video. Hit the like button on your way out. As usual, know that I love and appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you later. Take it easy.